These problems are from page 186, the last page of this section having to do with standard form. And I've circled number 15 because it asks us to find three things: the x-intercept, the y-intercept, and then the slope. So remember that the x-intercept is when y equals 0. The y-intercept is when x equals 0. And then the slope comes from our change in y over change in x. So the first thing I'm going to do is let x equal 0. If x equals 0, then I get 7y equals negative 21, and I get an intercept of negative 3. Now, for my x-intercept, I'm going to let y equal 0, and then I would get negative 3x. This is going to give me 0 equals negative 21, and so then I get x equals 7. So really what we have are 2 points, 0, negative 3, and 7, 0. So this is our x-intercept. It's on the x-axis. This is on our y-axis. Now, if I were to graph those, I would have negative 3 down here on the y-axis, and I would have 7 over here. Okay, and if I drew that line, then I could identify the slope relatively easily, because I would go up 3 and over 7, which tells me that my slope is equal to 3/7. Now, I could rewrite this equation. If I did it this way, I could rewrite it so that 7y is equal to 3x minus 21. And that's by adding 3x to both sides. And then when you divide by 7, you get y equals 3/7 x minus 3. So that's another way to do the problem. And then you can see that your slope turns out to be 3/7. Now, in number 18, we have Pedro is walking at a rate of 4 miles an hour, and he's running at 8 miles an hour. And this is each week that he is trying to cover a distance of 20 miles with some combination of walking or running. So if I multiply 4 miles an hour for every hour that he walks, he would cover 4 times x. 1 hour, he would cover 4 miles. 2 hours, he would cover 8. 3 hours would be 12. Then, if I add the amount of distance that he would run, that would be 8 times y. If he runs 1 hour, it would be 8, 2 would be 16, and 3 would be 24. Now notice that if he runs for 3 hours, he's going to already cover the 20 miles. Now, he is going to run a total of 20 miles. So what we get then is an equation of 4x plus 8y is equal to 20. Now we're supposed to graph this equation. If x is 0, then y would be 2.5 or 2.5. So I'm just going to put a dot here for my intercept at 2.5. Now, if y is 0, then 4x equals 20, and x would be 5. And if I graph that line is going to look something like that. Okay, now what is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is 2.5. And what that's saying is that if he doesn't walk at all, he could run for 2.5 hours. Okay, he could run for 2.5 hours. If he runs 2.5 hours, then he would have traveled 20 miles with no walking at all. Now, they don't ask this, but if he doesn't run at all and he walks for 5 hours, he would also cover the 20 miles. Now, the last one here is number 19. It says Keisha bought a discount pass at a movie theater. And this is the equation that models the relationship between the total cost Y of seeing X movies. Now, when she buys a pass, then she gets a discount on the movies. So I'm going to take this equation and I'm going to rewrite it by subtracting 7x from both sides. And then if I divide by 2, or negative 2, I will get 15.5 plus 7 over 2x. Now, I'm going to rewrite this so that it's in the form of y equals mx plus b. So this would be 7/2 x plus 15.5. Now, recall that x is the number of movies that she watches. Now, she bought a pass. If she doesn't watch any movies, 0 movies, she has to pay $15.50. That is the discounted, that is the cost of the pass. That is the cost of the pass. Now, every time she watches a movie, then that cost is going to go up by 7 over 2, which is 3.5. So she starts off at $15.5, and then every movie is going to cost an additional 3.5, 3.5, and so forth. And so the cost of each movie is 3.5, and the cost of the pass is 15.5.